So, is it that time in your life yet? Do you feel like your family is complete and you and your spouse want to not worry about changing that? Well, the decision can be difficult, but the recovery doesn't have to be. After your vasectomy, you gotta get testes. Doctors usually recommend a jockstrap and ice for your boys to help with comfort. Well, testes is the best of both worlds. This is for the man who is out on the go and needs to get things done. You get the ice packs from the freezer, strap up, and saddle up. The packs give you at least 20 minutes of comfort, even if you're just sitting around watching the game. And most important, guys, no wet spots. Put on the jockstrap under your briefs and go about your day. They come in 3 sizes, medium, large, and extra large to get your right fit. Now head on over to testes.com. That's TEST-EEZE.com. TEST-EEZE.com. Your wife is going to thank you for the snip, and your testes are going to be thanking me. Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on YouTube, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, wherever, guys. While you're there, go and rate, review, subscribe, then head on over to the Facebook group and Twitter account and join in the discussion. Don't forget dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com in case you have any more lengthy comments or subjects you want to bring up. And you can find me personally, Slim Dayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. Well, hello everyone. Hope you all had a great weekend. It is a late Sunday night here in Austin, Texas. Usually I like to record about mid to late afternoon. But we had some company over today. Of course, the dates got away. And, I'm just now getting to record this when I should be putting my daughter down for bed. But I want to try to fit this in. I probably won't get this posted tonight. I'll hopefully post it tomorrow, but I at least wanted to get it recorded. So, for those of you who are new to the show, here's how it goes, guys. Throughout the week, I and others post news stories in the world of geekdom on the Facebook group page and Twitter account. You guys comment, we talk, we share, we have some fun with it. It's all about that, guys. And then once a week, I try to come here and talk about kind of my favorite stories for the week. I usually share 1 or 2, maybe 3 things that are kind of my favorite stories, or the ones that I feel I have a little bit more to say about than just 1 or 2 sentences with that. So that's kind of how it goes. And of course, you guys fire back with your comments as well. And we have a nice discussion is what it's all about, like I said. So this week, I will tell you, I'm going to have a guest here just a little bit. My wife Lisa is going to be joining me. We're going to be talking about Star Wars The Bad Batch, the animated series. Just had the season finale. We're both big Star Wars fans, so, I wanted to bring her on and get her thoughts about it. Also, in all honesty, we've already recorded it, and just as I thought, it was pretty lengthy, actually. About the average time that I usually like to do a regular show, and I usually do, like I said, 2 or 3 subjects during an episode, but that ran a little long, so I'm only going to do 2. We're going to talk about that, and then in a minute here, I'm going to talk about the first couple of episodes of Titans on HBO Max. So that's kind of how this one's gonna go, guys. But like I said, hope you all had a great weekend, great week. I myself, pretty chill, not too bad. Had a couple of kids' birthday parties to attend to yesterday. When you're a parent, that's kind of how it goes. Today, kind of more of a chill day. Took my daughter to the pool, as we do most Tuesday mornings. Went to Costco. Kind of rained here. Turned into a really icky day here in Austin, but that's cool. The cool thing is football's starting back up. Didn't get to watch my Indianapolis Colts, but I did get to see some highlights, and kind of excited that all is starting back up with it. Plus, shows are starting back up. my wife and I came home on Friday with a bunch of shows to watch. We watched Ted Lasso, so a new episode of that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, we like that show. That started up again. What else we watched? What If? We watched that. I had already seen it, but she had not seen that. Of course, we watched the Bad Batch finale. And we're almost through Mayor of Easttown, too, on HBO Max. We didn't get to watch any of that on Friday, but we tried. Just a lot of good stuff. A lot of shows are coming back and starting up, so that is really good. And I'm sure I'll talk about it more linked as the time comes. So for now, let's get this show on the road. And like I said, I want to talk a little about Titans Season 3. The first 3 episodes premiered on HBO Max. So give you a little history, of course. Titans, based off Teen Titans, DC Comics, DC Universe, whatever you want to call it. This was kind of the first and flagship show of the DC Universe streaming service that Warner Brothers had started several years ago. Along with it came Doom Patrol, Harley Quinn, they restarted Young Justice animated series, and a few other things to go along with that too. And, I subscribed to it, and I watched the first 2 seasons on the DC Universe. And in regards to those 2 seasons, I thought they were decent. I think there were parts I liked, parts I didn't like. Very skeptic on the show when it started, but there was enough to hold my attention, mainly being because the main character is Dick Grayson, former Robin, and by the end of season 2, he transitioned into Nightwing, which Dick Grayson, one of my favorite comic book characters. The guy who plays him in the show, I think does a very good job, very compelling, it holds my interest, and that's kind of my anchor to the show and why I watch the show Titans. Done a great job with that. I've also thought some of the other casts to go along with it too, to say the least. I, however, did not like how season 2 ended. If you listen to me for a while, you know that I thought what they did at the end of season 2 with Donna Troy was totally ridiculous and stupid and pointless, and it made me cringe almost how they ended all that. But anyway, season 3 started back up, and now it's solely on HBO Max. Of course, Warner Brothers has gotten rid of that DC universe. It used to be movies, TV, and comics, and now it's DC Infinity or Infinite, however they call it, and it's just comics now. They switched everything like Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn over to HBO Max. It's all under one banner, which is the way to go. Great. But season 3 started up, and they opened up with 3 episodes. Now, like I said, the way they ended season 2, I wasn't a huge fan of, and honestly, I didn't go back and rewatch it. It's been a while since I saw those episodes, so I didn't know how much I forgot in regards to relationships and how, where characters had ended. I just knew what they did with Donna Troy, and I thought it was totally stupid. But in regards to, how at the end of the season they tried to manipulate Connor and Garfield, with that, Dove and Hawk, kind of how their relationship was left. I didn't really remember most of that. Anyway, so season 3 starts up, and just to let you know, of course, I do spoilers. This and of course Bad Batch later. I do spoilers, guys. So if you haven't watched it and you don't want to get spoiled, go watch it. Come back, listen later. Jason Todd, that's what it was. That was the other thing I couldn't think about how, where that character ended. I mean, a general sense of where he ended at the end of season 2, but more of how his attitude was, I guess, at the end of season 2, which is, very pivotal to how this season continues because, again, spoilers, he turns into a villain, the Red Hood, which in the comics is kind of what happens, where Jason Todd dies at the hands of Joker, and then he comes back many years later in the comic books as this guy Red Hood in Gotham, causing trouble for Batman. But the thing I didn't like about it was the fact that it was so quick. We're in season 3, and, I feel like maybe just because it took so long in the comics, Jason Todd died, and then it was decades later until they actually brought the character back, much like, Bucky Barnes in Captain America. he dies, and then it's many, 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 many years later that they bring the character back as the Winter Soldier. Whereas, I like that. And now in comics, when a character dies, he immediately he's coming back. I mean, Captain America, Batman, the Human Torch. Ever since Superman died back in the 90s and came back, they're not leaving any comic book character on the page dead for too long, especially if they're a classic character. I think the longest was Barry Allen, if I'm correct, maybe like 23 years or something like that before he appeared back up in the comics. But anyway, guys, that was kind of my issue when I heard they were going to bring Red Hood in for season 3, that I felt like, it just been too quick, too quick to transition Jason Todd from Robin to Red Hood. And especially with these first couple episodes. I mean, the beginning of the season is when he dies, but then I think it's even by the end of the first episode, or even the beginning of the next episode, he comes back as Red Hood. And it's just too quick. I mean, at least give me a couple episodes where he's allegedly dead, or give me a season or two where he's dead. But to do it so quickly, to jump into that storyline so much, it was too quick for me, I guess is what it was. Now, how they handling the Red Hood, his costume looked great. I like that. I like the way they handle the costumes, in this one compared to, how the characters are supposed to look or how they look in the comics. I like how they're doing that. But how they're handling the character and what the character's doing, I like what they're doing where he's testing the Titans. But again, it's like Jason was always irrational, but he was never evil. So the fact that he had this kind of flip switch now to where he's just really pure evil in my eyes, it just seems, again, a little too quick. I feel like they're rushing things too much with it all. With this storyline and the characters, it's just, it's too much for me in that regard. So, but as far as the other characters, like I said, Dick Grayson has always been, kind of my center focus. And I think, they're keeping him that way, which I think is great, especially exploring, him needing the Titans to come protect Gotham, coming together. I love that part of it. It was interesting what they did, of course, with Batman or Bruce Wayne, something that was quite controversial in the comics about after Joker killed Jason, Batman still had no inkling to kill the Joker. But in this reality, he did. So, or he thought that Jason was dead, which is why he killed the Joker, and that's a whole nother psychological issue. They also brought in Barbara Gordon in this season, the former Batgirl. I don't know if we'll get any flashbacks of her as Batgirl, but she's Commissioner Gordon taking over for her father, who we learned died by the hands of Mr. Freeze. I don't think anything like that is in the comic books, but I'm okay if it's not. Again, just kind of that, and like I said, Bruce killing the Joker is, a way of kind of setting it apart from the regular story that we get in the comics and the storylines. What's her name? Rachel? Is it Raven? Raven's the character name, but I think her real name's Rachel, right? She's off screen allegedly trying to bring Donna Troy back to life, and that could be interesting. We know kind of Donna's already coming back because she's in the promotional posters for this season. So, and she comes back in the comics and stuff too. But again, it has to do with the fact that I feel like they're rushing so much on this. Let her be dead for a season or half a season at least before they, try to bring this character back. And then of course the fact that, they thought Jason was dead. Were they going to try to resurrect him? And now, Hank is allegedly dead. They're going to try to bring him back too. When you take away, death as a finality, it undermines the dramatic tension that it causes with it. So that's kind of my train of thought on that. But yeah, season 3, starting off, not too shabby. I will say, I enjoyed season 2 better than I enjoyed season 1. And so far I'm enjoying season 3 a little more than I enjoyed season 2. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to stick in there. Like I said, I enjoy the show more than most other superhero shows. I mean, I would put it above those CW shows, the Arrowverse, but I would put it below things like The Boys or Netflix's Daredevil, which are just top tier, live action comic book superhero shows. But, not too bad so far, guys. But if you've checked out Titans Season 3, let me know what you think. Some of the story choices, characters, all that stuff. I want to know what you think about it. Fireback, of course, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Don't forget the Facebook group and, of course, Twitter. All right, guys. So for my next topic here, I needed a little help. So to help me out on this one is the mistress of Mandalore herself, Miss Lisa Locke-McGahee. Lisa, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been a long time since you've been here. Now, as one of the resident Star Wars experts, I had to bring you in because the season finale of The Bad Batch happened on Friday. So season 1 is over of the newest Star Wars animated series. I wanted to get your thoughts of what you thought of season 1. So let's just start. General thoughts, Bad Batch, season 1, go for it.
I mean, overall, I liked it all right. It's by far not my favorite of the animated series. It's probably my least favorite of all the animated series. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't watch Resistance, so I don't know.
I will tell you, I like this better than Resistance.
Okay, I didn't watch Resistance. So of the ones I've seen, this is my least favorite so far. I mean, I still liked it. Mm-hmm. I was entertained. I thought there was a lot of good character development. I really am intrigued by the character of Omega and where they're going to go with her.
Yeah.
But it was by no means my favorite. I mean, I liked Clone Wars, Rebels far better.
Okay. So I will say this. I will say when it comes to season 1, if I took season 1 of what I consider the 4 Star Wars animated series, I'm not talking Legos or Forces of Destiny. The 4 series that are kind of in Star Wars canon are Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, and Resistance. That's just the way I see them. I don't count the other stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I took season 1 for season 1, I would put season 1 of Bad Batch obviously over Resistance, but I would also take it over Clone Wars season 1 too. Rebels is kind of iffy, but I like this.
I definitely liked Rebels season 1 better than this one. See, because I was far more intrigued by Kanan, Hera, by the characters in Rebels in the first season than these. Granted, we had already met the Bad Batch, so that was a little bit different, but Rebels season 1 I liked way better than I liked Bad Batch season 1. And Clone Wars
And that's the thing, when they set up the Bad Batch in those last couple of Clone Wars episodes, I honestly wasn't interested.
No, those were my... I guess I could have understood why they were going to give them their own show and do a spinoff, but I was never that caught up by the Bad Batch to where I felt like they needed their own show. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting just based on the time period, seeing what the Empire is doing. Because, I mean, it's a period of Star Wars we don't really know much about.
It's transition.
Right. Like, nobody really knows what happened when the Empire was taking over. Mm-hmm. It's like we knew after the Empire, from the original trilogy. Mm-hmm. We know now what happened, during, like, before with the Clone War, like, the prequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. But nobody really knows what happened right after it became the Empire.
Fill it in. Because even, like, with Rebels, that was more toward... That was so close to A New Hope.
Right. This period has never really been addressed.
I mean, the way I see it, I see Rebels as how the rebellion kind of started up, whereas I see this as telling how the Empire started up.
Right. So I think that part of it is interesting, but even with that, I mean, I guess I like them okay, but...
Well, so I didn't like them in those Clone Wars episodes, but as this season went on, you got to develop them. I really like these characters.
I mean, I definitely like Hunter and Omega and the big guy.
Wrecker.
The 3 of them, I feel like they've done a lot of development with those 3 characters specifically. I mean, Echo, I'm
disappointed in Echo.
They don't use him at all.
They don't use. He has no point. Like, even Tech has more to do than Echo.
Yeah, Echo is almost like I forget he's there.
Yeah, exactly.
And Tech has some interesting uses occasionally. Where Crosshair definitely is important as the counter to what they are, But I mean, I think Hunter, Wrecker, and Omega really have have come out to me as the strongest characters, especially Omega's relationship with each of them.
Yeah, well, especially because, like you said, Hunter and Wrecker, Omega has the closest relationship to those two characters too. So that's probably why drawn more towards them anyway. But yeah, the Echo is almost non-existent almost sometimes.
For real,
it seems like, which kind of bugs me. I like Crosshair, and that's one thing I was thinking about. Of course, going into spoilers territory with the final couple episodes here. With Crosshairs, you knew there was going to be that conflict. With the rest of them got their chips out, and they were thinking Crosshair. The reason he was still working for the Empire is because he still had his chip in. But the whole season I was watching it, and I was like, even before Order 66, Crosshair was kind of a dick anyway. So I was like, it's one of those things like, once he gets his chip out, is he, how much of it was a chip and how much it was just him being an asshole is what it was. Like, how much was going to change when he actually got his chip out?
It turns out
he's just an asshole. Yeah. Exactly. Of course, because he got his chip out a while ago, which they didn't say when he got his chip out, but I imagine everyone's guessing it's kind of when he got injured during that battle. Like when he got hurt trying to capture him during that Star Destroyer or whatever that ship was.
I bet it was before then.
It could have been either way, but yeah, we just couldn't find out that he's a dick. But it's interesting though, because I know, going back to say some of the books like Lost Stars or even Battlefront, with Iden Versio, having these people in the Empire that truly believe in the Empire, this is another one of those characters that truly believes what the Empire is doing.
See, I don't think he does, though.
I think he believes in the way of life, like the way of life he knows as a soldier. I feel like.
I don't think he believes in the Empire. He just knows that that he's a soldier and that's his commander. And he does, and a good soldier follows orders.
Good soldiers follow orders.
So, I mean, I don't think that he necessarily feels that the Empire is doing the right thing. I mean, I'm just saying in contradiction to, like, the characters in Lost Stars or some of the other ones, like, where they literally believe in what the Empire is doing. They think it's legitimately what's for the best for the galaxy. I don't think Crosshair necessarily thinks that. He just knows he's a soldier.
He's a soldier. That's what soldiers do.
This is what soldiers do. So he doesn't understand what they're doing because they're not behaving like soldiers anymore.
That's true. Yeah. But with that too, I mean, like I said, with soldiers, talking about soldiers. The one thing I wanted, like the only thing that when I heard about this show that really intrigued me about it was the idea of, I wanted the question, what happened to the clones?
Well,
and when now we know kind of what happened to them. I mean, at the end of the episode or the end of the season finale, they took the clones away. Where they went, I mean, they stopped producing the clones. They stopped, but they still had clones left over. Even younglings we saw that were being evacuated as well. What happens to them, I think, is still up in the air.
I mean, it sounds like they were just assimilating them into the stormtroopers.
Do you think that's what kind of what's happened?
I mean, I think that's what they... I mean,
some of the stormtroopers... And eventually they faded out.
Yeah, some of the stormtroopers were clones, and some were not.
Yeah.
So I think they just assimilated them into the stormtrooper program, and then they got other people, and then as the clones died away... I mean, we don't really know how long the clones live in ideal situations.
The accelerated growth,
Right.
Because, I mean, Echo and Boba Fett were really the only unaltered clones.
Right.
Which is like, at the season finale, Omega was saying, I saw you guys, being born.
Right, because she was
there.
She's unaltered in terms of it, which is not unaltered because
she's a girl,
female. But
if
she doesn't have
if Django had a female daughter, that would be her.
No, that's not how that works.
Pretty much how it would be. Yes,
no,
almost,
because you require a second. If he had a female child, he would have to have had a second set of genes.
I know nothing about genetics, okay? I'm just saying.
She's not, she can't possibly be a clone, because not an exact clone.
No.
Because an exact clone would not be female.
Right.
But anyway, so she has to have some other genetic material in her to make her a girl.
And that's the thing, okay? So the whole thing was them, I think with the Kaminoans, trying to get... Well, I think they were trying to get either the Bad Batch back, or they're trying to get more Omega back.
They want Omega. They want Omega.
And so that's what I'm saying. So
because she's the most close to the host material.
Besides Boba.
Besides Boba. Which they don't have any control over Boba.
Yeah. Obviously. But, okay, so here's I guess what I'm saying, too, is why did they, if you have two, let's say, unaltered clones, is, Boba and Omega. Jango wanted Boba. He asked for Boba.
Mm-hmm.
So then why did the Kaminoans make Omega?
Probably it was... I mean, I would imagine that when you're cloning, initial steps would be just regular cloning.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you know you can do that, then you can start manipulating the clones.
Uh-huh.
So my guess would be that Omega was there for that their successful cloning, their successful alteration clone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first successful clone was Jango.
Mm-hmm.
Or Boba.
Boba.
First successfully altered clone, Omega.
Mm-hmm.
All the other altered clones, then they know they can do it, kind of thing.
And then you have...
Like, there were probably failed attempts between Boba and Omega.
Yeah.
There were probably failed attempts to get Boba.
Well, and,
you know what I mean?
The Bad Batch themselves were technically considered failed clones, really, but,
Then they were manipulated.
Yeah, they were
further.
manipulated.
Yeah.
They were like the first round where they tried to manipulate the genes
Right,
to enhance things about them,
Right.
but they were considered failures, which I don't know why, because they're the most badass crew.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they're failures in that they're not clones.
yeah.
Because they're defective.
Yeah, but I said, they call them defective. I totally get it. They're the outcast.
They're defective in that they are not clones. By definition, a clone is a complete replication of some sort of genetic material, of a person, of a animal, of a whatever, of a sentient being.
Yeah.
Or not even, they don't have to be sentient, because you could clone snakes or whatever. But anyway, so cloning, by definition, is making an exact replica. So they are defective clones because they are not an exact replica. So that's why Omega identifies with them, because she is also a defective clone, because she is not an exact replica.
I think, even before she met them, say in episode 1, she had probably some kind of bond with them, or she felt like she had some bond because of that with them,
That's why she was trying to find them, she said.
Yeah.
Her brothers. That's why she considers them, more than the other clones, her brothers, because she is also a defective clone.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay. So,
science lesson complete.
Science lesson complete.
You want me to go into more detail?
No, I don't think we have time for that, actually. One thing, of course, with this show is, same thing with other Star Wars shows, with Mandalorian, Rebels, whatever. You had your cameos, your cameos of other characters. Starting off episode 1, you had Caleb Doom in there, a.k.a. the future Kanan Jarrus.
I wish they hadn't done that, though.
Okay, well, you get into that in a sec. Okay. Finnick Rao is her name, I think. We saw her in there as well. Rex came back, which, we gotta love Rex, too. Cad Bane showed up.
That was cool.
And that was cool. You had a young Hera Syndulla, as well as her father, Cam. Is Cam Syndulla as well, too? And then... Cham. Is it Cham?
Mm-hmm, Cham.
Okay, yeah. And I think it kind of rounds out, really, the cameos. What was your favorite cameo of the season?
I loved how young Hera played it.
Okay.
I mean, like, I gotta say, I don't like that they threw the young Caleb Doom in there.
Okay.
Because it did kind of retcon his...
What his comic origin was.
Right. So I don't like... But Hera, bringing her in, I don't think that changed anything.
Yeah.
We knew that her father was involved in... the Ryloth, the battle for Ryloth and all that, and that he was very powerful, and that she obviously... I think that this showed her beginnings in a way that fit very nicely in with her story.
Her starting to resist.
Yeah, and just showing where she got that drive from. Mm-hmm. Growing up with watching her mom and her dad, with how they fought against, not just the Empire, because it was before the Empire even.
But tyranny in general.
Just tyranny, right. Just fighting for what's right.
Yes.
For the freedom of their people. And then for her, because her father was always just about Ryloth, where her seeing that there's a bigger problem out there. It can't just be... I thought it was great the way they put Hera in there. And obviously Cad Bane.
When he showed up, we're like, yes,
cannot get enough Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, I really... And people are so hoping that he shows up somewhere in the Book of Boba Fett at some point. Because, there was that little deleted scene from Clone Wars that they showed at Star Wars Celebration years ago, where Boba Fett and Cad Bane kind of square off a little bit. It's not... I don't know if you consider it canon, because it's just a deleted scene. It was never aired or anything like that. But, maybe coming as Cad Bane as a rival, because let's face it,
there's no way they didn't cross paths.
Well, yeah,
during Boba's life.
And that's what it was. That deleted scene almost kind of passed the mantle of the most badass bounty hunter in the galaxy from Cad Bane to Boba Fett. Is kind of what that scene did, and I want to see that how that actually goes down. Cad Bane. Even in this, when he's facing off against Fennec, he's a little rusty. He's getting on in the years, and you can tell that he's not the top of his game as he was in Clone Wars. So it's one of those things. Again, if you're going to do that, I don't see him pass the torch. Whether Boba takes out Cad Bane or something like that, that could be cool too. With the Canon one, like you said, it was one of those things where you have the Canon, the last Padawan comic that came out with Marvel years ago that kind of showed what happened during Order 66 with Caleb and his master. And, they changed stuff. They changed stuff as far as they were on the same planet. And I was after a battle, and they were attacked by clones and all that stuff. And she
told him to run.
Yeah, exactly. It was just the time of day and the setting. They incorporated the Bad Batch. The details were different. The overall was the same. It was the details that were different. And when that happened, people like us who read the books and try to stay connected to all of it to try to see if they're actually connecting all of canon. It made me raise an eyebrow a little bit, but the basis of it was there. It's just one of those things where, again, as like I said, you and I read the comics and most of the books. You read the books. When they do stuff like that, it almost feels like a slight.
Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel about it when the more, I mean, it's obviously the best selling, the most lucrative medium for them is the films. And then I would imagine second is the anime, is
TV
the TV
shows, yes.
And then books and comics are bottom of the barrel. So
Yes.
I get it. Their allegiance is going to be to whichever medium is the best selling medium. So like I understand. I mean, I don't like it, but I understand to some extent when they do stuff in the films that contradicts what we have in the books.
Yeah.
I still don't like it, and I think that they have a big enough creative team and
They have a
enough
whole
people on the
team of
story
people,
group that there's no reason for that to happen.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I just can't wrap my head around is in these situations, there's no reason to change it. There's no reason.
Yeah. But I get it because when who was it? It was somebody I saw talking from the story group, I think is what it was, and they were talking about the Bad Batch during Order 66 and witnessing the Jedi being slaughtered and having them connection to it, and how if you had a Jedi that you knew, you would have more of a connection.
Yeah, but there was how many other Jedis that were in the Clone Wars series that people have gotten to know.
But again, as us, we watched Rebels. We love Rebels. We love Kanan. We have strong emotional connections to have him in there. I mean, chances are, if you're watching Bad Batch, you've watched Rebels.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it would have been just as powerful a moment if it had been any other Jedi Master that we know of with a Padawan. I don't think that it needed to be Kanan. Like that. I just think there's so many things like that, and I mean, I know I'm getting on a soapbox.
No. I want to talk about it.
I hate when they do that. Like, there's just no reason. It's like I've said a million times with The Last Jedi. It didn't need to be that character. Holdo. There's no reason. It could have been any other person that Leia knew that had never been in a book. Like, why bring a character from the books and then not make her fit her character? It doesn't make any sense. Just make it fucking someone different. Like, that's my point. Like, why take a character where you have to change what's already written about them when you could just make a different character who that part of their life hasn't been written yet? I just don't get it. I just don't understand.
I think, like I said, I think it just goes down to the fact that, like I said, they wanted to get
fan service.
They wanted to get some kind of personal connection in there to make the scene more powerful. And number two, they just don't care.
They don't.
That's
all it is. They just don't care.
They don't care. It's like, because again, like you said, there are levels. As much as they want to say that it all connects now. Because that was the thing back when in the heyday of Star Wars before Disney had it. There were so many things in books and comics that contradicted each other. That's why they decided to clean the slate and say, okay, none of that counted except for the movies and Clone Wars, the stuff that George made himself. Now from going forward, it does all count, But then, you do something like this where it's like, okay, well, I bought this comic. I love this comic. I like this comic. Now you're telling me it doesn't count?
Yeah.
I spent time reading this, now you're telling me it doesn't count.
I get it. Yeah, I think
I
it's
get
horrible.
it. Doesn't change the fact, just like, all the stuff before that, like the original Thrawn trilogy or anything like that, Darth Plagueis. It doesn't count, but it's still a good story. The Canon the Last Padawan, I'm not going to like completely just disregard it because it's still a good story. It's just, you read it knowing that it doesn't have any meaning in current Star Wars.
Yeah, which is annoying.
So
when they said that canon is supposed to count now.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. Okay. So, I'll go to the episodes.
We're not going to go through each one,
No, I'm not going to go through each episode.
Oh, geez.
But I'm going to ask you, give me your favorites,
Oh,
maybe a couple of your favorites, least favorites, stuff like that. So I'll start, okay, just to give you a little jumping off point. So, we talked about the seasons, comparing the seasons to other, animated series. And I will say this, I will top this as my favorite series premiere, though. Like, go episode 1 versus all the other episode 1s of the other animated series. In fact, I'll go one better. I like this better than the Mandalorian season premiere.
I don't know. I like the Clone Wars season premiere. That's the one with Yoda and the clones on that planet where they're trying to get to the and Ventress is there.
Technically, it all depends.
I
though,
like that episode.
Clone Wars, they were shown out of order as far as canon and all that other stuff. And technically, you could almost say the movie was the first episode.
Well, technically, if the season premiere or whatever, episode 1 of the Clone Wars, if you look on Disney Plus.
Yes,
I like that episode.
Is the one with Yoda and Ventress and the clones.
I like
and all
that episode. That's a good episode.
Yeah, but this one, what I loved about it is the fact that it was so rooted in what we already know, which is the end of Revenge of the Sith, Order 66, transition to the Empire, all that stuff. It was I really enjoyed this series premiere, the season premiere in this. The rest of the season got a little clunky, of course. It is an animated Star Wars series. They're all not going to be great. There's a lot of times when I was watching Clone Wars when it was airing, there were so many episodes. Like there are so many episodes of Clone Wars. Rebels, there's more that I would say are better, but there's so many episodes of Clone Wars that I think I've only seen once, and I haven't even thought about them again. Like the episodes with Jar Jar, the droids, or stuff that I feel like doesn't count towards the bigger picture, and stuff that I think is just silly and stupid.
I like the episodes with the droids.
Oh, whatever. You like droids more than I do. You
droids.
Like droids more than I do, though.
I think that they have so much personality.
I do. I totally agree with that. I agree, but it's just like it does in the bigger scheme of things. It's not what matters the most. Is what it is.
It's not good.
Yeah, and so this season you had episodes. It was 16 episodes. And I think the ones that really matter are the ones that I really would probably rewatch, maybe 10 episodes or so is what I would rewatch. I mean, of course, I think that they started good with the premiere, and I think they finished strong with those last 2 episodes. Really a lot. Of course, I enjoyed the Hera episodes. I enjoyed the Cad Bane episodes. The one where they got their chips out with Rex. Those are some good ones. The other ones, I'm like, I could do without them. I don't see myself, if I ever want to go back and rewatch them again, I don't see myself ever wanting to go back and rewatch those episodes again. But like I said, I enjoyed the season as it went on because you got to know the characters more and more, them as individuals functioning as a unit. Out of the Bad Batch, my favorite character, I like them all quite a bit, but I'm starting to really love Tech. Because to me, he's the funny one. You could say Wrecker's the funny one.
He's funny because he doesn't. It's like
he's so logical.
It's like Sheldon.
Yes, exactly. He's so logical, and that's why that's why Sheldon in Big Bang Theory was so funny. And to me, that's why Tech I think is so funny. Like especially that episode where it was Hera and Omega, and they're flying around shooting stuff, and he's like, "Yes, just like us, nobody has any idea what you're doing." But I really enjoy that character. But again, as the season went on, I loved and seeing them function as a whole, and I just really enjoyed that. So, a couple episodes, name them.
You went off the screen.
Hold on, I'll click it back.
But I don't know. I mean, I did really like the premiere, and I really liked the last. Was it 2 or 3 where they were on Camino?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. But I guess my favorites are probably the episodes with Hera. I like those two a lot because I really like Hera. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I haven't had enough time to think about it.
Yeah, I got you. And it's as far as the overall arcing story, I mean, the whole story of this, it's the bigger story is, of course, like I said, what's happening with the clones and the Empire and the galaxy. But also, in the smaller sense of the group, is you have this group of soldiers that are, used to fighting a war, they're used to being soldiers, and now they have to find a new purpose, is what it is. Where Crosshair still wants to be the soldier, the other of them do not, and they're wandering aimlessly through the galaxy. Echo, I think, he's always like, hey, we need to join up with Rex, we need to fight back against this evil empire. That's what I think if there was anything I took away from Echo from this whole season, was that he was the one that was telling them, hey, we need to do, the right thing, we need to, fight back against this empire. That's what his voice was, versus, Hunter's voice, who was like, he's the leader and he really doesn't know what to do.
He just is trying to protect Omega.
Yeah, as I said, his first thing is to protect Omega, but besides that, he doesn't know what else he should do. No. Whereas I think by the end of the season, he's more coming around to the idea of, maybe helping. Maybe, I think too, when you look at it, what they did a lot of this season 2 had to do with other clones. And, they went to go pick up Gregor. At the end there too, they hooked up with Rex. So I think for him it was about helping other clones and helping other people, which I really loved. With Crosshair there at the end, there's a lot when he had that discussion with Hunter, when it was like you didn't come back for me, and as much as Hunter says you tried to kill us and all that, it's like, well, when at the beginning of the beginning of the series, they went back for Omega. At the end, they came back for Hunter. They went back for several clones like Gregor and stuff that they didn't even know, but they couldn't go back for Crosshair. Crosshair felt betrayed. So I loved that part in the finale there, where they kind of had that dialogue where like, I'm your brother, and you didn't even try to come back for me. So for that I could see kind of where Crosshair is coming from.
I still don't get it. I still don't think that. I mean, he did, obviously betray them. Yeah. So, where everybody else, sure, they didn't know them, but they hadn't been betrayed by them.
That's true. And like I said, yeah, I think it's going forward.
I mean, if someone tried to kill you, would you go back and try to save them? Probably not.
If they were, they're your brother,
that had just tried to kill you?
Yes.
You would go back to...
I would do something, I mean, gosh, like I said, it's, they obviously need help. Especially at the time, they thought that what Crosshair was doing, he was not even in control. Especially if you think, it's like if you think if someone you really care about is doing something under duress,
Duress.
That's what I said.
There's no T at the end.
What is it? Duress?
Duress.
Duress?
Duress.
Duress.
No.
Duress.
Duress.
Like a snake, like Crosshair.
Under duress.
Like that. Anyway, but yeah, if they really, like I said, was true to their brother, and they knew that he wasn't in control of himself, he was doing this because of being brainwashed, yes, I would go back for them. Yes.
I guess so.
It's just how it was. So, all right. So, wrapping all this up here a little bit, they get away. Camino is destroyed, which... What did you think about not Camino, but the clone facility, everything, the city being destroyed?
I think that was weird.
How so?
Why? What purpose did it serve?
I think it was all about, to me, it was about the Empire again seizing control.
Right, but I mean, considering that they took the researcher, they obviously plan to continue a cloning project. So why would they not use those cloning facilities that are already there?
Part of an old age, I guess. I don't know, something like, it's kind of...
You don't know why. You're trying to make stuff up.
I'm trying to make stuff up.
Don't
it's
make
true.
Stuff up.
Okay, but again, so it kind of like, to me, I saw it because, it's kind of the same reason they destroyed Geonosis. It served its purpose. It was done, so let's get rid of it.
Yeah, but in this case, they're not done cloning. They want to maybe do something different cloning-wise. But why not
They don't want to make their cloning public. Obi-Wan found the city by himself,
I guess.
If Obi-Wan can go and find that, who else can find it? And, if they're doing their dirty little secrets out in public like that, it's not good business for them.
I guess.
That's the way I see it. I totally pulled that out of my ass.
I just think that the Empire likes destroying stuff.
That's true. They like to cover their tracks. Totally understandable. Like I said, it just made sense to me. The way we found out what they did to Geonosis, it made sense they would do the same thing to the city and Camino as well and destroy the facilities. And like you said, they kept the scientist, is what it was. That was kind of the last season. I thought we were going to get more of a tease at the end there, where it's like, oh, we're not done with you, or we have a lot of work for you. I can't tell if they were teasing season 2 and more cloning to come, or if they were just going to the more grand picture of Palpatine and what's his name? Snoke, yes. Oh. So more telling that grand story rather than teasing season 2 perhaps. I don't know either way either, but I did like this. I did like the scene itself. Like I said, we talked about how much better the animation is getting compared to old Clone Wars days, and how beautiful it looks, and it looks so great on that. So, but yeah, so Bad Batch, that's season 1, all wrapped up. Are you looking forward to season 2? How about that? They announced season 2 is coming. We don't know how many more seasons they got, but there is a season 2 coming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always excited for more Star Wars.
Okay. In Star Wars, yeah. As long as it's decent, Star Wars.
I'm always excited for more Star Wars.
Of course, that's the way to do it. We're Star Wars fans, and like I said, I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't. I absolutely didn't hate it.
I enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as other Star Wars things. Yeah. How about this? Did you like it better than the sequel trilogy?
That's not really a fair comparison. Yes, I did. I did like it better. I would definitely choose to rewatch this before I would rewatch the last.
I knew as soon as you started that sentence where you were going with that. She's picking a fight, is what she's doing. I got you. All right. So guys, that is Bad Batch season 1. Have you watched it? Let us know what you think. Fire back, of course, the comments, social media, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Lisa, thank you for coming on and talking some Bad Batch. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be it for me today. Of course, as always, if you want to bring up or talk about anything, the Facebook group is there. Twitter account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. You can find me personally, SlimDayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. That is going to be it for me now. I'm trying to think what else we got coming up that I'll be able to talk about next week. I don't think, a couple of shows. One thing I am excited about coming up, though, is the Why the Last Man series. That's one that I'm interested in. I know they had a trailer for it. I remember, I read the comic book series many years ago. Like so much where I barely remember any of the details about it, which I think is a good thing when it comes to watching the series maybe with a fresh eyes and not trying to hold on to the source material too much with that. But I'm interested in that. That's coming up next month. I can't remember what else is coming out, soon. Of course, Shang-Chi is supposed to be coming out, but that's not for a couple weeks. I don't know. We'll see where it goes, guys. But like I said, anything you want to talk about, the social media groups and Gmail account are there. That is going to be it for me for now, guys. Have a great week. Have a great life. And until next time, may the Force be with us all.